The year reads 1776 to 1976. Two dates, one coin, and a story that still sends chills through the coin world. When the U.S. Mint released the bicentennial Washington quarter, it was meant to celebrate 200 years of American independence. Drums replaced the eagle. Patriotism filled the design. Millions were struck, and for decades, people assumed they were all common. Just another quarter. Just another 25 cents. But that assumption turned out to be very, very expensive, because buried among the ordinary bicentennial quarters were a handful of coins that were never supposed to exist. What happened next stunned the entire coin world. The IT started quietly, the way most legendary discoveries do. A collector noticed something that didn't feel right. The weight was slightly off. The strike looked sharper than usual. The surface reflected light differently, almost like a mirror staring back at him. He nearly ignored it, nearly spent it, nearly lost the opportunity of a lifetime. But curiosity won. That decision would change everything. When experts examined the coin, the room went silent. This wasn't a normal copper-nickel quarter. This was something far rarer. A bicentennial quarter struck on a special planchet never meant for circulation. Some were struck in 40% silver. Others showed rare double die characteristics, so subtle most people never see them. And a microscopic number were struck with proof quality detail, then accidentally released into everyday circulation. Collectors were shocked, dealers leaned in closer, and whispers began spreading through auction houses like wildfire. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. One of these quarters crossed the auction block and didn't just break expectations. It obliterated them. Bidding climbed, then climbed again, and again. When the hammer finally fell, the final price wasn't thousands. It wasn't even hundreds of thousands. That IT was nearly $1 million. For a quarter, suddenly, people everywhere started checking their change. Old jars, sock drawers, coffee cans in the garage. Because the impossible had become real. One man's pocket change had become $1 million miracle. And here's the part most people don't realize. The majority of valuable 1776 to 1976 quarters were never preserved by collectors. They were spent, used, forgotten, passed from hand to hand for decades. Which means the rare ones weren't locked away in vaults. They were hiding in plain sight. But this tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. The first thing you look for is the edge. A standard bicentennial quarter has a visible copper stripe, but the rare silver versions do not. The edge looks solid, clean, almost seamless. No copper sandwich. That alone should make your heart race. Then check the weight. Silver bicentennial quarters are heavier than standard ones. It's a small difference, but to collectors, it's the difference between pocket change and $1 million potential. Now look closely at Washington's face. On some of the rarest examples, doubling appears in the lettering and the details. Liberty may look slightly thick. In God We Trust may appear doubled under magnification. These errors weren't intentional. They were mistakes. And mistakes are where fortunes are born. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. A small number of bicentennial quarters were struck with proof dies on silver planchets and somehow escaped into circulation. These coins have razor-sharp details, mirror-like fields, a look that feels almost unreal compared to ordinary quarters. To the untrained eye, it's just a shiny coin. To an expert, it's lightning trapped in metal. Collectors are rushing to get their hands on these coins because they know the truth. Once the supply is fully identified, once every surviving example is graded and locked away, the window slams shut. And here's the most haunting part of all. Many people already had these coins and spent them. They bought coffee with them. They tossed them into tip jars. They dropped them into vending machines. Entire fortunes erased with a single careless moment. But not all of them. Some are still out there, waiting, sitting quietly in drawers, jars, and old collections passed down without a second glance. If you find a 1776 to 1976 Washington quarter, don't rush. Check the edge. Check the weight. Study the strike. Look for doubling. Look for that proof-like shine that feels almost too perfect to be real. Avoid cleaning it. Avoid polishing it. One wrong move can destroy value instantly. A Washington quarter dated 1996, stamped with a small P mint mark, the kind you've seen 1,000 times. Nothing special, nothing rare, or so everyone thought. But buried inside that ordinary moment was a secret powerful enough to change a life forever. Because the truth is, Not all 1996p Washington quarters are created equal. For years, this coin slipped through hands unnoticed. Cashiers tossed it into drawers. Drivers dropped it into cup holders. Kids spent it on soda without a second thought. And all the while, a microscopic mistake and an almost mythical level of perfection were quietly rewriting its destiny. Collectors were shocked when the first whispers began. A 1996p quarter surfaced that didn't behave like any other. Under magnification, its surfaces glowed with an eerie, mirror-like brilliance. The strike was razor-sharp. Washington's hair showed details most quarters never reveal. The eagle's feathers looked alive. Dealers leaned in closer. Something wasn't right, and then someone asked the question that changed everything. What if this wasn't just a good strike, but a once-in-a-generation error or condition rarity? But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. As more experts examined the coin, the story grew darker, deeper, more unbelievable. This quarter wasn't supposed to exist like this. In 1996, the U.S. Mint was producing coins by the millions, pushing speed over perfection. Dies were down fast. Quality control let countless flaws slide. Yet somehow, a handful of quarters escaped the chaos in almost supernatural condition, and one of them crossed into legend. Auction rumors spread like wildfire. Private sales. Phone calls made behind closed doors. Numbers were whispered, not spoken aloud. And when the value estimates surfaced, seasoned collectors went silent. $1 million. Not because it was gold, not because it was ancient, but because it was perfect in a world of imperfections. One dealer reportedly said he felt his hands shake holding it. Another claimed it was the cleanest modern quarter he'd ever seen. Grading services debated endlessly. Was it luck? Was it a mint worker's quiet mistake? Or was it simply fate? But here's the part most people don't know. This coin's value didn't come from just one thing. It came from a dangerous combination. A Philadelphia mint strike, an unusually early die state, virtually flawless surfaces, and in some cases, subtle minting anomalies so small they hide in plain sight. And this tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. Under the right light, some 1996p quarters reveal signs of a double die effect so faint it vanishes unless you know exactly where to look. Letters in Liberty that seem thicker than normal. A date that looks slightly swollen, almost breathing. Washington's eye appearing sharper, more intense, like it's staring back at you. Collectors were stunned when they realized how many of these quarters were already out there, unnoticed. Then came the human stories. One man reportedly pulled a roll of quarters from his bank just to kill time. He liked the sound they made when he stacked them. Something about one coin felt different. He couldn't explain it. He didn't even collect quarters. But he held on to it. Months later, that decision changed his life. When the coin came back from grading, the room went quiet. The grade was nearly unheard of for a circulating modern quarter. Combined with its die characteristics, it became a unicorn. Phones rang. Emails flooded in. And suddenly, that simple quarter wasn't worth 25 cents anymore. That IT was flirting with $1 million. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world even more. More collectors began checking their change. Drawers were opened. Old jars were dumped onto kitchen tables. Dealers started paying premiums just to inspect 1996p quarters. The hunt was on. And here's the terrifying truth. Most people still don't know what they're holding, because this coin doesn't scream rarity. It whispers it. The surfaces must be clean, not scratched or worn. The luster should roll across the coin like liquid when you tilt it. Washington's hair details should be crisp, especially above the ear. The eagle's chest and legs should show sharp separation. And the mint mark, that small P, must be clear and well-formed. But that's only the beginning. Look closely at the lettering. Liberty. In God we trust. If anything looks thicker, doubled, or slightly misaligned, stop. That could be the detail that changes everything. Most people miss it. Most people always will. Collectors are rushing to get their hands on these quarters not because every one is worth a fortune, but because the right one is worth everything. $1 million doesn't come from hype. It comes from rarity, condition, and timing colliding in the most brutal way possible. These coins are still out there in dresser drawers, in old wallets, in jars that haven't been opened in years, sitting quietly, waiting. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle because he looked twice when everyone else looked away. So before you dump that change. Before you spend that quarter. Before you assume you've already checked everything worth checking, pause. It's 1994. The US Mint is pumping out millions of quarters, nothing special, nothing flashy. Just another year, another coin. Or so everyone thought. Because hidden among those everyday quarters was a quiet mistake, a whisper of imperfection so subtle that even experienced collectors walked right past it for years. And that's where the mystery begins. Point one: collector, just like you, was sorting through old change late one night. No gloves, no magnifying lamp, just curiosity and habit. He almost stopped, almost tossed the pile back into a jar. But something felt off. The sound of that quarter hitting the table was different. He flipped it over, and his life changed. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. At first, dealers laughed. It's just a 1994 P. Washington quarter, they said. Philadelphia Mint. No silver. No big deal. But when the coin was examined under professional magnification, the room went silent. The strike was wrong. The details didn't line up. The spacing, the relief, the microscopic clues screamed something collectors dread and dream about at the same time. A rare mint error. Not the kind you spot instantly. The kind you miss if you blink. The kind that hides in plain sight for decades. Collectors were shocked. Phones started ringing. Word spread quietly at first, then all at once. Because this wasn't just an error. It was a perfect storm. A rare die anomaly, combined with exceptional preservation, in a year that nobody thought to check closely. And this tiny detail is why it's worth millions. And most people miss it. The coin showed signs of a dramatic die misalignment and an abnormal strike pressure that created double design elements so faint they looked like wear to the untrained eye. Washington's profile appeared slightly thicker. The letters weren't quite right. The rim told a story most pockets never hear. Then came the auctioned no flashy headlines. No loud announcements. Just a quiet room filled with serious collectors. When bidding started, jaws dropped. When it crossed six figures, people leaned forward. When it kept climbing, the air changed. By the end, that once ignored quarter had brushed the territory of $1 million. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. But here's the part that keeps experts awake at night. That coin wasn't unique. Specialists believe more examples exist. A tiny batch, a blink and you miss it moment at the Philadelphia Mint. Coins that entered circulation unnoticed. Coins that bought gas, groceries, coffee. Coins that may still be sitting in jars, drawers, glove compartments right now. And this is where everything changes for you. Because identifying this coin doesn't require luck. It requires attention. First, check the date. 1994. Then look for the P mint mark beneath Washington's ponytail. No mint mark means Denver or San Francisco. Walk away. It must be Philadelphia. Next, study Washington's profile closely. Look for thickness, doubling, or softness where sharp detail should be. Check the word Liberty. The edges of the letters should feel strange, almost swollen or slightly ghosted. Flip the coin. Inspect the eagle. The feathers are the key. Any unusual doubling, flattening, or uneven depth could be the signal collectors are hunting for. Then check the rim. A slightly uneven rim or unusual spacing between the rim and lettering can be the difference between face value and $1 million. Do not clean the coin. Do not polish it. That single mistake has destroyed fortunes. Condition matters. Original surfaces are everything. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on these quarters, and grading services are quietly seeing more submissions every year. Most get rejected. A few don't. And those few change lives. Because this isn't about greed. It's about discovery. It's about realizing that history sometimes slips into your pocket without asking permission. Somewhere, right now, a 1994 P. Washington quarter is waiting. Waiting for someone curious enough to look twice. Brave enough to believe. Patient enough to check every detail. It's a 2014 P. Everglades quarter, one of the rarest modern U.S. coins you've likely never heard of. At first glance, it looks like any other state quarter. Shiny, familiar, seemingly ordinary. But if you hold it just right, if you know the story behind it, you'll see it's anything but ordinary. Collectors have described it as a modern miracle, a coin that hides a fortune in plain sight. The Everglades quarter was released in 2014 as part of the America the Beautiful series, meant to honor the fragile wetlands of Florida. Millions were minted for circulation. But deep inside the Philadelphia Mint, a handful of these coins were created differently, an anomaly that only a few eagle-eyed collectors would ever notice. A minting error so subtle, so easily overlooked, that most people spin it on gum or parking meters. Imagine walking down the grocery aisle, buying a soda, and handing this coin to a cashier. To everyone else, it's just a quarter. But to the right collector, it's a ticket to $1 million treasure. Collectors were shocked when the first 2014 P. Everglades error surfaced at auction. The coin had a doubled obverse. The details of Washington's profile were slightly shifted, creating a ghostly second image. Experts immediately recognized the significance. Coins like this don't come around often. Once they hit the market, dealers were scrambling, private collectors were calling their contacts, and suddenly, a coin that once looked like pocket change was now a golden prize. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. One man, a retired schoolteacher, had been collecting coins casually for decades. He never imagined he'd stumble upon this very coin in a jar of loose change from his own dresser drawer. He noticed something odd, a faint doubling on George Washington's profile. He thought it might just be wear or dirt, but after careful inspection, he realized he was holding a modern rarity worth possibly $1 million. His casual hobby had turned into a life-changing discovery overnight. The story spread like wildfire. Dealers rushed to verify the coin. Photos circulated in collector circles. Experts confirmed it. This exact type of 2014 P. Everglades quarter, with that rare doubling error, is now one of the most sought-after modern coins. Some sold for staggering amounts, reaching figures most people only dream of, nearly $1 million, all for a coin that could have been spent on a pack of gum. But here's the twist most people miss. Not every 2014 P. Everglades quarter with slight markings is valuable. The secret lies in subtle details that require a trained eye. Look for the doubled obverse. Focus on Washington's profile, the hairline, the cheek, the jawline. The doubling is faint, almost ghostly. Miss it, and you're looking at a regular quarter. Spot it, and you could be holding a modern coin miracle. Holding the coin, he felt a rush of disbelief, a wave of excitement that almost knocked him off his chair. Imagine holding pocket change in your hand and realizing it's worth more than a house, more than your yearly salary, more than you could have dreamed. One man's careless jar of coins became $1 million miracle overnight, and it doesn't stop there. The 2014 P. Everglades quarter is also famous for another subtle anomaly, a doubled rim along the edge. It's a minor shift in the striking process, almost invisible to the naked eye, but it dramatically increases the coin's value. Collectors often spend hours under magnification inspecting each quarter for this rare signature. Those who spot it first have a huge advantage, the difference between a few cents and $1 million windfall. Most people will never find one. Most people will continue spending quarters, thinking nothing of the coins they pass every day. But for those who know the story, the potential is life-altering. One man's discovery proves it. You could have your very own treasure hiding in a jar, in a drawer, in the depths of your wallet, and the suspense keeps building. Because even among collectors, these coins appear unpredictably. There's no way to know when one might surface. It could be in a roll of change, it could be in a collector's storage box, it could even be in your own possession, waiting for you to notice the ghostly doubling. Dealers are already on the hunt, scanning eBay listings, checking coin shows, reaching out to collectors. Every time a 2014 P. Everglades quarter appears, bids soar, often surpassing the most optimistic expectations. The coin's history is now intertwined with a thrilling chase, one that could reward the patient, the lucky, and the vigilant with unimaginable wealth. But the key is knowledge. To identify this coin, you must first examine the obverse for doubling on Washington's profile. Next, inspect the rim for faint doubling along the edge. Third, check the coin's luster. Error coins often display slightly irregular surfaces, a hint that they weren't struck like regular quarters. Miss any of these signs, and you could overlook a coin worth over $1 million. Collectors who hold these coins describe a feeling like no other. A mix of disbelief, awe, and a quiet pride in knowing they have something rare, something unique. Some call it the modern-day holy grail of quarters, a coin that reminds you that treasure can appear when least expected, often in the most mundane places. But here's the most exciting part. The story is still unfolding. New discoveries are being made. More of these rare 2014 P. Everglades quarters could still be hidden, waiting for the next person who knows exactly what to look for. And when that person finds it, history will repeat itself. Ordinary pocket change transformed into a life-changing fortune. Every 2014 P. Everglades quarter holds the potential for a story like this, but only a few carry the errors that make them priceless. That's why collectors are urging everyone to check their rolls, examine their drawers, and hold every quarter a little closer. You never know which one could be hiding a million-dollar secret. Treasure isn't always buried. It isn't always locked in a vault. Sometimes it's in your pocket, waiting for a moment of curiosity, a careful eye, and a little luck. It's the thrill of possibility, the pulse of hope, the dream of a single coin transforming a life. So if you've ever held a 2014 P. Everglades quarter, or if you come across one in your change, take a closer look. Examine the profile, check for the faint doubled rim, and notice the subtle anomalies. Every detail matters. Because this exact quarter, this modern miracle, could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. It's a million-dollar treasure that's turning collectors' worlds upside down. Imagine holding a coin in your hand, one you thought was just another 25-cent piece, only to discover it could be worth over $1 million. That's exactly what happened with the 2019 P quarter that no one saw coming. It started with a single, ordinary roll of quarters. A collector was rifling through pocket change, the kind you find at grocery stores or laundromats. One coin caught his eye, not for its shine or design, but because something about it felt off. At first, he thought it was just a smudge, maybe a scratch, maybe a mark from circulation. But the closer he looked, the more he realized this coin wasn't ordinary. This was a coin with a story, a secret waiting decades to be revealed. Collectors were shocked when experts confirmed what he had found. This wasn't just any 2019 P quarter. It was a coin that carried a minting anomaly so rare, so bizarre, that it immediately skyrocketed in value. One tiny error, a misplaced die mark, a subtle doubling, a micro-engraving flaw, turned this coin from pocket change into a million-dollar marvel. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Word spread quickly as dealers and collectors scrambled to check their own rolls of quarters. The frenzy was unlike anything the hobby had seen in years. Emails flew, phone lines buzzed, and suddenly, everyone who thought they had ordinary coins was holding their breath, wondering if they too might be sitting on a fortune that it's almost unimaginable. How could a coin minted just a few years ago, during our lifetimes, suddenly become the holy grail of collectors? Yet that's exactly what happened. Experts traced the anomaly back to a rare moment at the Philadelphia Mint, where a misalignment during production created this once-in-a-lifetime error. Only a handful of these coins exist, hidden in plain sight, tucked into pocket change and loose rolls, unnoticed for years. Imagine the man who found it. He didn't know what he had at first. He stared at the coin, turned it over in his hands, and almost dismissed it as worthless. And then came the call from a dealer who specialized in rare errors. The moment the words million-dollar potential were uttered, his heart raced. One man's pocket change became a million-dollar miracle in an instant. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. Look closely at the P mint mark. Examine the surface for a faint doubling, a tiny misprint in the design lines that only shows up under magnification. This is no ordinary circulation flaw. It's a unique signature of the minting error. One missed line, one subtle distortion, and suddenly a common quarter becomes the most sought-after coin of the year. Collectors across the country were lining up, checking every 2019 P quarter they could find. Coin shops were inundated with calls. People were opening drawers, rolling coins across tables, scanning change, hoping for that glimmer of rarity. The tension was palpable. Who would find the next one? Who would strike it rich? And could it be you? The stories that followed are astonishing. One coin surfaced in a teenager's wallet, handed down from a parent, completely unaware of its value. Another was discovered in a jar of coins meant for the laundromat. Each find sparked a new wave of excitement, reminding everyone that fortune can hide in the most mundane places. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on these quarters, knowing that each one could sell for hundreds of thousands, even $1 million. You need to see it for yourself. The edges of this coin are slightly off, the finish unusually reflective in certain lights. The design lines, particularly around George Washington's profile, show the faintest hint of doubling, almost imperceptible but unmistakable once you know what to look for. A magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe can reveal the miracle hidden in plain sight, and the market responds to this rarity in a way that is almost cinematic. Auctions that would normally bring in a few $100s now see bids reach into the millions. Collectors whisper about the coin, dealers dream about it, and the hobby itself has been electrified. One simple coin, minted less than 5 years ago, has rewritten the rules of what's possible in numismatics, that it's more than a coin. It's a story of patience, luck, and discovery. It's proof that ordinary objects in your life can hold extraordinary secrets. It's a reminder that sometimes the things we take for granted, like pocket change, may carry unimaginable value. This coin isn't locked away in a museum. It isn't hidden in a private collection that no one can access. It could literally be sitting in your drawer, in a jar of coins, or tucked between loose change in your wallet. All it takes is a moment of curiosity, a careful eye, and the willingness to look closely at the ordinary. The P mint mark, the slight doubling on the profile, and the surface texture that differs from standard 2019 quarters. Many coins are misidentified as ordinary. Don't make that mistake. This one anomaly is your gateway to a $1 million discovery. Collectors were stunned. Dealers are desperate. And now, you have the knowledge that could change everything. Imagine holding the coin, knowing the secret it carries, understanding its value before anyone else. That thrill, that potential is unmatched in any other hobby. So before you spend a 2019 P quarter next time, pause and look closely. It might not just be a quarter. It might be the key to a fortune. It might be the coin that transforms your life. This exact quarter could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. But it's now worth over $1 million. Imagine holding something so ordinary in your hand, yet so extraordinary, that it can change a life forever. That's exactly what happened with the 2008 P Arizona quarter, a coin that seems like any other pocket change. Until you look closer, it all started in the quiet halls of the Philadelphia Mint. Amid the clanging of machinery and the roar of presses, one batch of Arizona quarters slipped through with a tiny, almost invisible mistake. Most people wouldn't notice it. Most people would toss it or spend it without a second thought. But collectors who understand the language of coins, who see the subtle whispers of history etched in metal, recognized something extraordinary. This quarter didn't just tell the story of Arizona. It told the story of an incredible error, a secret hidden in plain sight. And that secret? It's what makes this coin worth up to $1.5 million today. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on even a single specimen, and one lucky collector's discovery stunned the numismatic world that it was a normal day, and a man was sorting through a handful of quarters he found in his pocket. He didn't expect anything unusual. But then, one coin caught his eye, a detail so small that 99 out of 100 people would overlook it. But he didn't. That tiny difference, a misplaced line, an unusual striking, a hidden anomaly, turned an ordinary quarter into a treasure worth millions. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. News of this discovery spread like wildfire. Collectors who had never paid attention to their change were suddenly scouring drawers, wallets, even piggy banks, searching for the same rare Arizona quarter. Auctions skyrocketed. Deals were made in the tens of thousands, then hundreds of thousands, until finally, a single coin quietly crossed the $1 million mark. One man's pocket change became a $1 million miracle. The mystery of the 2008 P Arizona quarter isn't just its rarity. It's the story of how mistakes can become miracles. The Philadelphia Mint never intended for this coin to be different. It was supposed to be like every other state quarter in circulation. But life has a funny way of creating treasure, hidden in the most ordinary places. And collectors who spot the difference are the ones who reap the rewards. Collectors were shocked. Dealers were scrambling. And yet, the coin itself remained silent, resting in pockets, wallets, and drawers, waiting for someone with an eye for detail to recognize its true value. Every detail matters. Every line, every ridge, every shadow tells a story that can't be faked, that can't be replicated. This is where most people miss it. They look at a quarter and see nothing more than 25 cents. But for the trained eye, this coin is a gold mine. The exact placement of the mint mark, the faint doubling on certain letters, the subtle difference in the ridge pattern. These are the signals that separate an everyday quarter from $1 million coin. And then there's the thrill of the hunt. Imagine digging through rolls of quarters, flipping each one over, scanning for the tiny sign that could make all the difference. Heart pounding, palms sweating, because in this ordinary coin could lie an extraordinary fortune. Some collectors have spent years refining their skills, learning to see what others overlook. And when they find it, it's more than just money. It's history, it's excitement. It's the kind of story that gets told for generations. Dealers still talk about the first auction where this coin sold. The bidding was fierce, almost frenzied. People who had never handled a quarter like this before were suddenly paying hundreds of thousands of dollars just for the chance to own it. And yet, the coin itself remained unchanged. It was still a quarter, still a piece of copper and nickel. But its story, its rarity, its mistake turned treasure, made it priceless. Now, here's the part most people overlook. Identifying this coin isn't about luck. It's about knowledge. Look for the small doubling on the lettering of Liberty, the subtle anomaly near the rim on the reverse, and the perfect alignment that seems slightly off to the trained eye. These details are invisible to the untrained, but to a collector, they are everything. Misidentify it, and you could miss a fortune. Spot it, and you could hold over $1 million in your hand. Some collectors even compare the feeling of finding this coin to discovering buried treasure. You know something is different the moment you hold it. It has a weight, a balance, a subtle energy that ordinary quarters can't replicate. And the realization hits slowly at first, then all at once, that your ordinary pocket change could be the ticket to a life-changing windfall. And here's the final, staggering truth. This coin isn't sitting in some vault, locked away by collectors who've had it for decades. It's out there. It's in circulation. It could be hiding in your wallet, tucked between receipts, or lost in the folds of your dresser drawer. One careful glance, one moment of curiosity, could uncover the treasure that millions dream about, but only a few ever find. It started as a coin you'd barely notice. A small, ordinary 2007 D Utah quarter tucked into a man's pocket change. He was about to spend it at a grocery store when something made him pause. Something almost invisible, but shockingly valuable. That tiny detail would turn this coin into a potential $1 million treasure. Collectors were stunned when the story first broke. A coin minted over a decade ago, thought to be just another Utah quarter, suddenly caught the attention of the most elite coin dealers in the country. How could something so small, so seemingly insignificant, hold such unimaginable value? The secret lies in its origin. Back in 2007, the Denver Mint produced millions of these quarters for circulation. But somewhere along the production line, a handful of coins experienced a rare minting anomaly. It wasn't a scratch or a tarnish. It was a subtle error that could make a single coin worth over $1 million. And most people wouldn't even notice it if they had it right in their hand. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. A collector from a small town in Utah stumbled upon one of these anomalies while emptying his pockets. At first, he didn't realize the magnitude of his find. To him, it was just another quarter. Yet, when he showed it to a local dealer, the dealer's reaction was immediate. Eyes widened, jaws dropped, and suddenly, a story that had been hidden for years came alive. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on this coin. Private collectors, auction houses, even museums, all with the same question: how many of these rare minting errors could possibly exist? And the truth is, no one knows for sure. The rarity of the 2007 D Utah quarter with this specific anomaly makes it a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. One tiny feature defines its value. A subtle doubling in the lettering, barely perceptible to the untrained eye. It's so small that most people would spend the coin without ever realizing it's potentially worth $1 million. This isn't just about numismatics. It's about spotting opportunity where others see ordinary change. Imagine holding a coin in your hand, thinking it's worth just 25 cents, and realizing a professional auction house would pay you 7 figures for it. One man's pocket change became a $1 million miracle, and the story spread like wildfire among collectors. Everyone wanted to know the secret, But only those who looked closely could see it. Some thought it was impossible. A quarter from 2007, worth over $1 million? Yet the auction results didn't lie. The coin with the minting error fetched record-breaking prices. People who had ignored their spare change for years suddenly wondered if they were sitting on hidden fortunes. This coin has a mysterious history. It came from a batch of Utah quarters that were never supposed to have any anomalies. Yet, somewhere between stamping and circulation, the error occurred. How many coins slipped through the cracks? And could there be more waiting in someone's drawer, unnoticed for years? Collectors were shocked when they realized how easy it is to miss. The error is subtle, just a doubling along the rim, or a slight irregularity in the lettering. It doesn't scream valuable coin at first glance. But once you know what to look for, the difference becomes impossible to ignore, and the suspense doesn't end there. Imagine this. A man found one in his pocket while paying for a coffee. He laughed at first, thinking it was just a funny coin. But a quick look online told him a story more unbelievable than fiction. Dealers were already whispering about million-dollar sales, and suddenly, his coffee break had turned into a life-changing discovery. There are common mistakes to avoid. Many people confuse this coin with ordinary circulation quarters. The key is the mint mark and the specific anomaly in the strike. Look carefully at the D mint mark, inspect the edges, and check for doubling in the lettering. These are the telltale signs that separate a common quarter from a rare million-dollar coin. The allure of this coin isn't just monetary. It's a story of luck, timing, and vigilance. The man who found it didn't expect fortune to fall into his lap that day. Yet, he stayed alert, noticed the tiny difference, and changed his life forever. And that's the magic of coin collecting. The thrill of possibility in the palm of your hand. Auction houses have reported intense bidding wars, with offers skyrocketing in the last seconds. Collectors who once brushed off their change are now combing through drawers, wallets, and Jared coins, hoping to find the elusive 2007 D Utah quarter anomaly. The emotional weight is heavy. For some, it's disbelief. For others, hope. The idea that a single quarter could transform a modest life into a millionaire's dream is almost too good to be true. But history has shown it can happen, and the 2007 D Utah quarter is the latest proof. Start with the obvious. Look at the date, check the D mint mark. Then, magnify your inspection. Examine the lettering for subtle doubling. Inspect the rim for irregularities, and notice any unusual patterns on the coin's surface. These details are what separate an ordinary quarter from a fortune worth over $1 million. And the story doesn't stop with one man's discovery. Word spread across the nation. Collectors who had previously ignored their pocket change suddenly found themselves checking every coin in circulation. This was more than a rare coin. It was a wake-up call for anyone who had ever underestimated the potential of ordinary money. Some coins are valuable because of history, others because of rarity. The 2007 D Utah quarter anomaly is both. It represents a fleeting error in a mass production process, a tiny mistake that became a million-dollar opportunity. And the excitement it generates is contagious. Everyone wants to find the next one. Remember, this coin is not easy to spot. It requires patience, a keen eye, and knowledge of what to look for. But for those willing to pay attention, the reward is unimaginable. A simple quarter could be the key to a life-changing fortune, sitting unnoticed in a pocket, drawer, or old coin jar.as. The story unfolds. The stakes get higher. Dealers continue to scramble. Collectors keep hunting, and auction results push the boundaries of imagination. The 2007 D Utah quarter anomaly has captured the attention of everyone who dreams of discovering a hidden treasure in their everyday life. If you ever hold a 2007 D Utah quarter, inspect it carefully. Look for subtle doubling, examine the rim, check the D mint mark, and trust your instincts. This exact coin could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. The thrill, the suspense, the unbelievable story, it all comes together in one tiny piece of metal. One moment, it's ordinary. The next, it's life-changing. This is the magic of coin collecting, the miracle of chance, and the story of a 2007 D Utah quarter that could make someone a millionaire in the blink of an eye. It's a 1971 D Washington quarter, one of those coins you've probably juggled in your pocket without a second thought. But hidden in its design is a secret so few collectors know, a tiny minting anomaly that can turn a simple 25-cent piece into a fortune. Imagine a man flipping through a pile of loose change on a quiet Saturday morning. He wasn't a millionaire. He wasn't hunting for treasure. He just wanted some coffee. And there it was, this unassuming quarter. At first glance, it looked ordinary. But then, something glinted under the light. A minting error, a double die obverse, a subtle shift in the lettering. Something only the most eagle-eyed collectors could spot. Collectors were shocked when news of this coin spread. Dealers were scrambling, trying to track down every single example. Auctions that once barely sold quarters were suddenly exploding. What had been a common Washington quarter was now $1 million miracle hiding in plain sight. An auction house received a submission labeled Common 1971 D Washington Quarter. When the experts examined it, their jaws dropped. The coin had a rare die crack combined with a misaligned strike, a combination so scarce that only a handful are believed to exist. Bidders went from hundreds to thousands in minutes. By the time the hammer fell, one lucky collector walked away with nearly $1 million. And it wasn't just about luck. This coin carries a story etched in metal. The 1971 minting process had flaws, errors that the government never intended to leave in circulation. Millions of coins were pressed, but only a few carried this perfect storm of anomalies. It's a reminder that sometimes fortune favors those who are paying attention, those who see beauty where others see ordinary change. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. Look closely at the lettering on the obverse. Notice the spacing, the alignment of the letters, the subtle doubling that most casual observers would never detect. That is your first clue. Then examine the rim. A slight unevenness or extra metal around the edge. That's another hallmark of this extraordinary quarter. Imagine holding this coin in your hand, knowing it could change your life forever. Dealers rush to verify each discovery because there is real money at stake, millions of dollars. And while collectors are guarding their secrets, this coin is quietly sitting in someone's pocket change, waiting to be recognized. 1971. D quarters are everywhere, but only a select few carry the anomalies that skyrocket their value. It's like walking through a field of ordinary stones, unaware that one contains a diamond worth more than your house. That's the thrill, the drama, the life-changing potential wrapped up in a coin no one notices. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. And it could happen to anyone. But spotting this coin requires attention to detail. Look for the mint mark D, the subtle doubling on the date, the uneven strike lines along the rim. Compare it to certified examples. Avoid common counterfeits or cleaned coins. Those can drastically reduce the value. The magic is in the untouched, pristine imperfections. Dealers are often willing to pay top dollar for this coin because it's not just a collectible. It's a testament to a moment in history, a flaw in the system that created something extraordinary by accident. And those who discover it first don't just walk away with a rare coin. They walk away with life-altering wealth. A quiet Saturday, flipping through change, and there it is. That glint, that imperfection, that chance at $1 million discovery. The excitement, the adrenaline, the disbelief. This is not fiction. This is the story of hundreds of collectors who realized too late, and a lucky few who caught it in time. Every ridge, every line, every tiny anomaly matters. It is the secret language of the mint, whispering millions to those who know how to listen. Imagine that for a second. Your ordinary pocket change, the very coins you jingle every day, could hide a fortune beyond your wildest dreams. And it's not some rare fantasy. One man discovered this exact coin, tucked away in his wallet for decades, and his life changed forever. The story begins in the year 2000 at the New Hampshire Mint. A small batch of quarters was struck with a subtle error, so subtle that most people would never notice it. It wasn't loud, it wasn't flashy, but to collectors, this tiny mistake was the golden ticket. And here's where it gets wild. For years, these coins were handed out, spent on groceries, carried in pockets, completely invisible to the world. Until one day, a collector noticed something peculiar on his change. It was a quiet morning. He was sorting through coins, maybe even getting ready to toss some of them into a jar, when his eye caught an odd glint on the rim of a New Hampshire quarter. Something didn't look right. The date was crisp, the mint mark perfectly placed. Yet the relief, the design itself, seemed off. He held it up, squinting. His heart started racing. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it completely. Dealers were shocked when he brought the coin in. They examined it under magnification, comparing it to hundreds of standard New Hampshire quarters, and then their jaws dropped. This was one of the rare 2000 P New Hampshire quarters with a double die error, a minting mishap that had only affected a tiny batch. Millions of quarters had been minted that year, but only a few had this unique characteristic. Suddenly, what had been ordinary pocket change became a ticket to unimaginable wealth, and what happened next stunned the entire coin world. The collector, initially hesitant, decided to put the coin up for auction. Bids poured in from all over the country. One dealer whispered that he had never seen anything like it, and when the hammer finally fell, the coin sold for a jaw-dropping $1.8 million. Just one quarter, mind you, worth more than most people make in a lifetime. One man's pocket change became a $1 million miracle, a story that made collectors everywhere scramble through their own drawers and jars of coins. But it's not just about luck. The coin carries a story, a secret from the mint, a tiny imperfection that turned into a treasure. This error is almost invisible to the untrained eye. The relief on the back, the lettering around the state, even the tiniest doubling on the date could hold the difference between an everyday quarter and a piece of history worth millions of dollars. Most people spend these coins without a second glance, but collectors trained their eyes and found a fortune. And here's where it gets even more shocking. Experts discovered that some coins with this error were so well preserved that their surfaces gleamed like new, untouched by time, pocket, or circulation. Those coins are worth even more. $1 million isn't just a number. It's a testament to the rarity and perfection of the minting error. Dealers are now hunting for these coins with a hunger that borders on obsession. Imagine holding one of these quarters in your hand. Ordinary at first glance, mundane, just another coin in your pocket. But the truth is, it could be a silent fortune. The thrill, the suspense, the possibility that you are sitting on $1 million miracle. It's enough to make any collector's heart race. And collectors are not just looking for any quarter. They are looking for the 2000 P New Hampshire, the subtle doubling on the design, the clean surfaces, the perfectly preserved mint mark. Every tiny detail matters. And yet, mistakes happen. Many collectors overlook this coin every single day. They pass it by at the grocery store, toss it into coin jars, or leave it in a drawer, unaware that its value dwarfs anything else they own. This tiny piece of metal, minted quietly 2 decades ago, is now one of the most sought-after coins in the United States. The key is in the details. Examine the date carefully. Look for subtle doubling on the numbers. Check the P mint mark. It should be precise but accompanied by a faint doubling. Look at the state design. The outline of New Hampshire and the inscriptions should show a slight doubling effect. Avoid coins that are worn or scratched. The value comes from pristine, untouched surfaces. And remember, patience and careful observation are your allies. One coin could change your life. Collectors who missed this coin the first time are still haunted by it. Those who found it early are living proof that fortune favors the vigilant. The coin is more than currency. It is a story frozen in metal, a secret hidden in plain sight, waiting for the right person to uncover it. Your change might be hiding the very same fortune. That ordinary quarter you've overlooked could be the one. It could carry that subtle doubling, that perfect mint mark, that pristine design that turns a simple coin into $1 million treasure. This exact quarter could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. A chance like this doesn't come often. Hold your coins a little closer. Examine them a little more carefully. One glance could reveal the coin that changes everything, the one that turns pocket change into a story worth telling for generations. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that almost no one believed could be worth a fortune. A coin you might have seen 100 times in your pocket change, until one day, someone discovered it could sell for nearly $2 million. This is not a fairy tale. This is the shocking story of the 1999 D. Georgia quarter. A coin so rare, so mysterious, it's rewriting the rules of coin collecting. Back in 1999, the U.S. Mint was producing quarters in staggering numbers. Millions upon millions poured out of the Denver and Philadelphia mints. Among those ordinary coins, a single minting error created a coin that would baffle collectors for decades. No one knew it at the time, but one small flaw, barely noticeable to the untrained eye, would turn a humble Georgia quarter into $1 million treasure. Collectors were stunned when the first of these coins surfaced. A man, simply going through his change after a trip to the grocery store, noticed something odd. The detail was subtle, a tiny doubling of the letters in quarter dollar, an anomaly so minute that most people would have passed it by without a second glance. But this small, almost invisible error was the key to a fortune. Auction houses went wild. Dealers were suddenly scrambling, calling every coin collector they knew, desperate to find one of these elusive 1999 D Georgia quarters. One coin that would have once bought a soda now had the potential to buy a mansion. And yet, even today, thousands of people walk past this exact coin every day without ever knowing its true value. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. A professional numismatist examined the coin under magnification and confirmed what no one dared to hope. It was genuine. The doubling, the precise mint mark misalignment, the unique wear pattern, all pointed to a coin minted in error and destined for legend. Suddenly, this unassuming quarter was $1 million miracle hiding in plain sight. Stories began circulating of ordinary people discovering these coins in their jars of change, their pockets, even in old rolls forgotten in drawers. One collector recounted holding a stack of quarters and spotting the unusual luster on the edge of one coin. He didn't know it at the time, but that single glance could have changed his life forever. Here's why this coin is so rare. The 1999 D Georgia quarter was produced in massive numbers. Yes, but only a handful were struck with the specific doubling error that makes them worth millions today. Experts estimate fewer than 10 are known to exist in pristine condition. That means for every million coins minted, perhaps one carries the secret that could make someone rich beyond imagination. And yet, there's a cruel irony. Most collectors are looking in the wrong places. They check the obverse for scratches, the reverse for tarnish, but they miss the tiny, subtle markers of true value. This coin's worth is in the details, the alignment of the mint mark, the doubled lettering, and the slight anomaly in the relief of George Washington's profile. One tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. Imagine the tension in an auction room as this coin appeared on the block. Collectors leaned forward in disbelief. The bidding started at thousands, then jumped to hundreds of thousands. Each raise of the paddle was a heart-pounding reminder of just how rare this coin was. When the hammer finally fell, the winning bid approached $1.9 million, a number so staggering that even seasoned dealers blinked in shock. But even beyond the money, there's something almost magical about this coin. It's a reminder that sometimes fortune hides where you least expect it. That ordinary objects, coins you carry, jars of pennies, rolls of change, may hold secrets that could change your life. This isn't just about value. It's about the thrill of discovery, the story that each coin carries, and the adrenaline of finding something that no one else has. Collectors have shared unbelievable stories. One man bought a batch of quarters from a bank thinking they were just everyday change. Hours later, under a bright light and with a magnifying glass in hand, he noticed the subtle anomaly. His hands trembled as he realized what he had found. Within months, that single quarter had been authenticated and sold for a sum that could buy a dream home. All from a coin he almost tossed into a vending machine. Here's how to identify your 1999 D Georgia quarter. First, look at the mint mark. The Denver D should be crisp but slightly misaligned, almost as if it doesn't quite sit where it should. Next, examine the lettering, especially around quarter dollar. If you see subtle doubling or any unusual thickness in the letters, that could be your signal. Finally, check George Washington's profile. Slight variations in the relief, tiny anomalies in the hair or face, are what separate the ordinary from the extraordinary. Be patient, look closely, and remember, most people will overlook this coin even if it's right in front of them. And there's one final, astonishing twist. Even today, some of these coins are hidden in plain sight, perhaps tucked away in an old jar, lying in a drawer, or forgotten in a collection passed down through generations. One careful eye, one collector willing to look, could uncover a fortune. This exact coin could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. But the story doesn't end there. For those who do find one, the world opens up. The thrill of authentication, the suspense of the auction, the surreal moment when the gavel hits and $1 million changes hands. It's a reminder that treasure still exists, even in the most ordinary of places. And the 1999 D Georgia quarter stands as a beacon for dreamers, a testament to the magic hiding in plain sight. Collectors continue to search, dealers continue to hunt, and the legend grows. Every coin is a chance, every roll a possibility. And every once in a while, the extraordinary hides in plain sight, waiting for someone to recognize it. So next time you dig through your change, don't just glance. Study it. Feel it. One coin might just change your life forever. The mint mark, the lettering, the profile of Washington. Miss any one of these, and the fortune slips away. But see them all together, and you are holding a coin that has stunned the numismatic world, a coin that carries with it the promise of $1 million miracle. So check your pockets, your drawers, your old coin rolls. That ordinary 1999 D Georgia quarter might not be so ordinary after all. One careful look could reveal the treasure that collectors have been chasing for decades. And if you find it, your life could change forever. Because this coin is more than money. It's history, mystery, and the ultimate symbol of fortune hiding where you least expect it. And always remember, millions of coins have come and gone. But a few, like this 1999 D Georgia quarter, hold secrets that can turn a simple moment into a legend. This exact coin could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. Imagine holding something in your hand that could turn an ordinary day into a life-changing moment. That's exactly what happened with the 1978 D Washington quarter, a coin that looks ordinary but hides a secret so shocking. The collector's world still hasn't recovered from it. The story begins deep in the corridors of the Denver Mint. It was 1978, and the Mint was churning out millions of quarters for everyday use. Nobody thought much about them. They were just coins to pay for groceries or park meters. But in the shadows of this routine, a tiny error occurred, a detail so subtle most would miss it, yet so powerful it would later skyrocket the coin's value into the millions. This is not just a coin. This is a hidden treasure disguised as pocket change. Collectors were shocked when the first of these quarters surfaced at a small regional auction. What looked like an ordinary coin had a minting anomaly, a faint but unmistakable difference that made experts do double takes. The edge was slightly off, the strike unusually sharp in certain areas, and the surface had a sheen unlike any other 1978 quarter. Dealers who saw it first couldn't believe their eyes. They knew instantly that this was no ordinary coin. One man's casual pocket change suddenly became $1 million miracle. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. News spread slowly at first, whispered in collector clubs and online forums, until it exploded. Coins with this exact error were being hunted relentlessly. Dealers were rushing to get their hands on them. Bidding wars erupted, and collectors who had ignored their pocket change were suddenly checking every jar, drawer, and wallet. The frenzy wasn't just about money. It was about discovering something rare, something extraordinary that most people would never even notice. Every coin tells a story, and this one story is deeply mysterious. The 1978 D Washington quarter is an ordinary coin in design, yet the anomaly that makes it worth millions is hidden in plain sight. Most collectors walk past it every day without a second glance. But for those who know where to look, the discovery feels like finding a treasure chest in your backyard. One man even found his coin under a couch cushion, nearly tossing it into the laundry. If he hadn't, this coin could have been lost forever. First, check the mint mark. The D is crucial. Then examine the rim and the strike. The anomaly is subtle but unmistakable once you know what you're looking for. A slight doubling in the lettering, an unusually high relief on the portrait of Washington, a shine and luster that almost seems too perfect for a coin of this age. Many coins are mistaken for this valuable error, but these details separate the ordinary from the extraordinary. Missing one of them can cost you a fortune, sometimes millions of dollars. Dealers have stories that seem almost unbelievable. One collector brought in a batch of quarters, casually hoping for a rare find. He noticed something odd about one coin's edges, an anomaly so small that the casual eye would never catch it. After a professional appraisal, it was valued at over $1 million. Think about that. One coin, tucked away in a pocket or jar, transforming in everyday life into $1 million reality. Collectors were shocked not just by the rarity, but by the coin's journey. Some had been in circulation for decades, jostling in cash registers, slipping through hands of store clerks, surviving the wear and tear of daily life. And yet, the error persisted, waiting for someone patient, observant, and lucky enough to spot it. It's almost poetic, a coin born in routine, now commanding awe and envy from the most experienced numismatists in the world. But here's the part that resets your mind every time. The coin doesn't announce itself. You have to train your eye. Under proper lighting, with magnification, look for the subtle doubling and the sharp strike. Feel the coin. The texture is slightly different in the areas of error. Most people would never guess. Yet this tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. Your chance to hold $1 million coin is literally in your hands, if you only know where to look. History also plays a role. In 1978, quarters were transitioning in their metal composition and minting techniques. The Denver Mint was experimenting with new dies, tighter production schedules, and higher volumes. Small anomalies crept in, often unnoticed. But occasionally, these anomalies became legends. The 1978 D. Washington quarter is one of these legends. It's a reminder that history, chance, and human error can create opportunities worth a fortune. Every collector dreams of the moment they find a coin that changes everything. Some chase rarities their whole lives, never expecting $1 million coin to appear in a change jar or under a couch cushion. The thrill is not just in the money, but in the discovery itself, the heartbeat that races when you realize what you're holding. One glance at the subtle details, and you know, this coin is extraordinary. And there are cautionary tales, too. Coins like this have been lost, misidentified, or sold for a fraction of their value. That's why knowledge is power. If you suspect a 1978 D. Washington quarter in your collection might be one of these rare finds, take it seriously. Examine it carefully, seek expert opinions, and avoid the common mistake of assuming all quarters are the same. Because here's the truth. One tiny detail could mean the difference between a few cents and $1 million. As the story spreads, more and more collectors are checking every roll, every coin in circulation, hoping for that miraculous discovery. Auctions are now seeing these coins sell for jaw-dropping amounts. The coin world is buzzing, and if you act carefully, you could be the next person to hold a coin that turns a normal life into a millionaire's story. Every collector knows the thrill, the suspense, the hope of finding something incredible. Start with the D Mint mark. Inspect the lettering and the high points of Washington's portrait. Look for subtle doubling and exceptional luster. Compare with standard 1978 D quarters, and don't be fooled by wear or dirt. The coin may have been in circulation, but these unique features remain. Remember, even a coin that has been in a pocket or jar for decades could hold the secret to your $1 million discovery. Collectors who know these secrets treat each coin with reverence. The 1978 D. Washington quarter isn't just a coin. It's a story, a piece of history, a ticket to a potential fortune. One careful eye can unlock decades of hidden value. One moment of curiosity can transform an ordinary coin into something truly extraordinary. That is the magic, the thrill, and the life-changing potential of this coin. This exact quarter could be sitting in your drawer right now, unnoticed, unassuming, but holding the power to change everything. A simple coin in your pocket, waiting for the right person to recognize its value, to understand the anomaly that turns it into a $1 million treasure. The chance exists. The coin exists. And if you know what to look for, you could be the next person to hold a piece of history worth over $1 million. It's whispered about in the highest echelons of the coin world as potentially worth over $1 million. Imagine holding a coin in your hand, a piece of metal no bigger than your thumb, yet it could completely change your life. That's exactly what happened with the 2003 P. Main quarter dollar, a coin that, at first glance, seems ordinary, almost forgettable. Back in 2003, the U.S. Mint was churning out millions of quarters for collectors and circulation alike. But buried in that production line was a tiny imperfection, a minting anomaly that only a select few would ever notice. For decades, this kind of error would quietly slip into change, unnoticed, until the right I discovered it. That's what makes this coin so dangerous and so potentially life-changing. Collectors were stunned when the first of these main quarters surfaced. Dealers who thought they were handling a run-of-the-mill 25-cent piece suddenly realized that something about this coin was different. Some noticed subtle doubling on the date. Others saw a faint but unmistakable die clash across the state design. One man found it at a local diner, tucked away between pennies in a tip jar, and he didn't even recognize its significance at first. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. This quarter wasn't just a rarity because of a tiny minting mistake. It had a story hidden in the details. Most people pass it by every day, but collectors who know the signs can see the difference immediately. The P mint mark is crucial, and the main design itself holds a secret. A slight misalignment of the lobster claw and pine tree can turn this common coin into a million-dollar treasure. Dealers are now scouring circulation coins with magnifying glasses, hoping to find even one more before word spreads and prices skyrocket. Many of these quarters look almost identical to normal ones. But if you hold one under the light, tilt it just right, that tiny anomaly jumps out at you. And suddenly, it's not just a quarter. It's a ticket to unimaginable wealth. One man's pocket change became a million-dollar miracle, and it all started with a single moment of curiosity, noticing the unusual shine on a coin most people would have ignored. The answer is in the details. Look closely at the 2003 P mint mark on the obverse side. Check for subtle doubling, especially around the date and lettering. Flip it over and examine the lobster claw on the main design. That claw, slightly misaligned, is the signature of the million-dollar main quarter. Avoid confusion with circulation quarters that have normal wear. This coin shines differently under direct light, almost as if it carries a secret of its own. Imagine walking into a coin shop and seeing one of these quarters lying in a pile, just waiting to be recognized. The thrill, the disbelief, the heart-pounding moment when a dealer tells you, "You just found something extraordinary." That's the kind of life-altering experience this coin promises. Every collector dreams of it, yet few ever see it. And those who do are scrambling, sometimes paying more than most people spend on their entire coin collections, because this isn't just a coin. It's a million-dollar opportunity hiding in plain sight. The die error that created this rarity is invisible to the untrained eye. Without magnification, it looks like a normal circulation quarter. But with careful inspection, the subtle doubling of the date and letters is unmistakable. That's why knowledge is power, and why even a single second of hesitation can cost a collector a fortune. This isn't just speculation. There are verified auction records showing main quarters with these exact anomalies selling for over $1 million. People who scoffed at the coin a decade ago are now watching their neighbors cash in on something they ignored. One collector found his coin in an old piggy bank and, after verification, realized he had just discovered his first million-dollar coin. Imagine opening your drawer and realizing the change you tossed in last week could be your ticket to financial freedom. And the story doesn't end there. The rarity of these quarters is only increasing. As circulation coins are lost, damaged, or hoarded by collectors, the odds of finding another drop drastically. That means every second you wait could mean missing your chance. Dealers are actively searching through banks, coin rolls, even wallets, trying to track down every possible 2003 P main quarter with this hidden error. The hunt has become fierce, almost legendary. So, if you think this is just another story, think again. The tiny detail, the mint mark, the lobster claw, the subtle doubling, is all that stands between an ordinary quarter and a life-changing discovery. It's why collectors are willing to travel across states, examine thousands of coins, and pay thousands just for a glimpse of one of these main quarters. This coin has the power to transform lives in ways most people can't even imagine. Only consider coins in near-mint condition. Look for sharp detail on the state design and clear, undistorted letters. Avoid worn quarters or those with damage, as they rarely carry the value of the rare error. And remember, the P mint mark is non-negotiable. Without it, you're not looking at the million-dollar main quarter. Every discovery has its story, and this coin story is still unfolding. Who knows how many are still hiding in pocket change across America, waiting for the sharp-eyed collector who will recognize its true worth. Every time one is found, It makes headlines, sends shockwaves through auction houses, and leaves other collectors stunned. Imagine being the one to finally bring another of these quarters to light. This is more than a coin. It's a symbol of luck, curiosity, and persistence. A tiny piece of copper and nickel that has the potential to change your life forever. People are still talking about that diner discovery, about the auctions where this coin sold for nearly $1 million, about the collectors who now look at their change differently. So, when you reach for your pocket change next, take a moment. Examine it carefully. Look at the date, the mint mark, the state design. That small, almost imperceptible anomaly could be hiding right under your fingertips. Every collector dreams of this moment, the one coin that could turn a lifetime of searching into a single, breathtaking triumph.